Hello, everybody. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And you guys gonna love today's guest. And the people which follow us for the last now year and a half probably know that we went through this little segment we called Evolving Our Podcast. Our goal was to find better people. We wanted to find greater value to you guys as a listener. And I'm really excited because today's guest was one of my people. So we all, as you guys know, we all had 25 people we presented and sold each other on the 25 people we wanted to have on. And I'm really excited to have that guest here with me today. Not only is he a former food service worker, what I really love about him is the way he brought marketing into our segment. So with that, you guys gonna meet him right after this. Hello again. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show, and I'm really excited to introduce you guys to this guest. You guys gonna love him because if there's one thing that Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur is known for is bringing new people in, because we wanted you, the listeners, to get value. And today's guest has a company called Breath Marketing. And not only does he do an amazing job with marketing, he's a leading expert in restaurant marketing. And you guys gonna get to know him in a little bit. He has firsthand experience of owning restaurants. He has developed a really deep understanding on what makes a restaurant tick and what makes a restaurant successful. You guys gonna love his short answers he has on some of the stuff, because he's gonna tell you what to do. And I hope you guys listen to it. And then I know when this conversation is done, you guys gonna say, "Oh, I never really thought about that. Oh, he makes it sound so easy." And with that, I want you to know Sebastian Stahl. So I'm really excited to be here, and welcome to the Disruptive Chef Show. I'm really excited to have you here today.
Thank you, Christian. Appreciate it. That's quite an intro.
So tell our audience a little bit on how did it all start? Why did you're a good looking guy. You can do so many things. How did you wind up in food service?
It's Christian, like a lot of us in the industry, right? We think it's driven by passion. I think when we start, there's just something about it that caught my attention when I was younger. Getting into college, like the whole thing of the play of art, music, right? Food connection with people.
Mhm.
It just resonated with me, and I didn't know what the hell I was getting into, but it resonated with me. So after that, Christian, I have two older brothers and a sister with two brothers. At that point, we wanted to start a business. These guys were doing something else. He was one of my brothers. He's with the president for a company. My other brother was doing a different deal. But we had this idea for the business, and hey, let's start a restaurant. We all loved, the business. But so we started playing with, creating recipes, things like that. We hired somebody to help us just develop, some recipes, and then we started creating the concept, for the first restaurant. And at some point, these guys kind of went on their way, did their own thing, and then I stayed doing the whole thing with the restaurant. So made the amazing mistake of opening 3-day parts and breakfast, lunch, and dinner for my first restaurant. So you can imagine the hours that I was working and how I was messing up in so many ways. But at the end of the day, it did work. There was I didn't know. I wasn't looking at the P&L. I wasn't looking at marketing. I wasn't looking at anything but just operations. And I was trying to survive. And I think as you know, Christian, when you've been doing this, that you've done this, it takes so much, right? Physically, mentally, like just everything, right? When you're starting a new restaurant, it's just one of those businesses because it's so physical in nature as well, that it's beautiful, but it's draining, right? And I was really young at that time, so like I could take it. But so that's how it started. Then ended up moving to Miami in 2008, and then opened my first restaurant in the States, right? So very different ball game. Again, just everything was different. So again, a huge learning curve when it comes to running a restaurant there and everything that it entailed.
I,
So
I,
that's
I
how it started.
I love that story because I was resonating when you talk about your siblings because I also have five brothers, five sisters. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody went to into the industry, and I'm the only one left because they was like, "That's crazy. Why would you do this?" Um, and
Yeah.
so for me, I absolutely love that. So if our listeners get to know you a little bit more, you talk a lot about misconceptions in the industry. So talk
Mhm.
to us a little bit about that. What do you mean if you say misconception in the industry, and what are some of them need to go away?
Yeah. So I think, listen, uh, my as an owner at the beginning, the misconception was that being a restaurant owner, it's glamorous, and you're just kind of just standing there like saying hi to people, and it's a it's a fun thing to do, and that's what I thought about it at some point. And I think there's a lot of that's one of the main misconceptions when you're young, right? And you're getting into it.
Mhm.
Once you're in it, then you see how it's not glamorous at all.
Mhm.
You're cleaning toilets. You're cleaning floors. We're trying to get if the AC is not working. I mean, we had the restaurant flood when we opened the first restaurant in Miami, and it was summertime. So you can imagine, like, the AC stopped everything. It was like big time yoga, and there was actually a review that a guy said that. But so all these things that happen, that you have to be really hands on and not care about any of that stuff, right?
Mhm.
So that's the first thing. Um, then you know uh, another thing is that when you're starting out, you think that you're going to be turning a profit in the first 6 months, or maybe you know what I mean. So undercapitalization is, as you know, it's one of the number one
Mhm.
mistakes when you right? And because it takes always longer and more money that you could expect. So that's another thing, and then that's when you're starting out. There's other misconceptions about it as well, and I think that we are, as an industry, we're trying to shift, is that you can't build a career in the restaurant industry,
Yeah.
and I think it's totally wrong. It's just how it's just how it's been known, because of how it's been seen as a temporary solution for a job. The
Mhm.
high schoolers or just people in college, just as a temporary work option. But there is a ladder. There is a way up, and there is a career, and there has so many options when it comes to positions that you can learn and do at a restaurant. But and I think we're doing a better job of that now, of changing that misconception. But so yeah, those are a few that I could mention.
Yeah, I love and as people kind of follow and get a little bit deeper into what you talk about. You always talk about that you learn marketing and sales, and it's just as important as food itself. And for me, that really resonated with me because I think anybody in the food industry is a lot better marketer than they give themselves credit for. And they
Mhm.
get so bogged in that, oh, I'm supposed to post 5 times this, I'm supposed to have 6 times a week post that it becomes a post, which doesn't really show anymore who they are as an organization.
Mhm.
And I also love when you talk about that you need to give it structure, and the strategies itself of attracting a customer and converting them is the same as the food service industry itself. And I
Mhm.
absolutely love that. And you also talk about that a lot of that came from your early career learnings. And
Mhm.
I love that story. Maybe you need to tell a story of your very first restaurants and the learnings you had there.
Hmm. So for sure. I mean, listen, when you first open a restaurant, Christian, and you got to do everything, right? So marketing is, man, the time that you have to invest in marketing is it's not much, right? Because just running a restaurant itself is super complicated, right? You have so many moving parts, and but I think, after, again, the learnings, there needs to be a structure and a system in place, and that's
Mhm.
for everything. A bunch of course, restaurant coaches, preach this, and I'm sure you talk about this too. Is this you're gonna you're going to you're going to be as good as your systems, really, when it
Yeah.
comes to restaurants, because of course you can have great food, you can have a great location, but if your operation is not smooth, then it's not going to work, right? So,
Yeah.
and that also includes marketing, because you think you're going to be able to wing it, and again, posting, you think that posting is going to save you. It's not. You can tell stories through posting and stuff like that, yes, of your restaurant and your food and all these things that you need to do. But really in the age that we live in, it's, I mean, the reach is very, very slim, right? In
Yeah.
terms of how many people are actually going to see that. So it's more of it's more of, again, creating the system. Where do you need to be, right? Like, what channels exist for a restaurant? Fortunately, we live in the digital age that you have access to all of these things. You don't have to be paying for outdoor advertising and spending all this money in billboards and things like that you did back in the day, or print media and any of that stuff. Again, you can leverage your channels, right? Your social media channels. But the first thing that I would say, Christian, this is what we preach, is you need to leverage your own customers, meaning the people that are already walking in that found out about you somehow, whatever it is, at the beginning, and they walk into your restaurant. First is the experience that they have. That's their first touch point. So if they have a great experience, they're going to, that is the best marketing you can do. Now, once you have them in there, you need to find a way to collect their information, because now it's like building a relationship that I can measure. It's like having a friend, right? Like, hey, I make friendship with you. Hey, let's exchange numbers or information, and we'll stay in touch, right? That's how you want to see it. Again, you're developing friendships, you're developing relationships. So now, if you have a system in place, you'll be able to collect that information automatically, right? So then once you start building these relationships and you start building the system of collecting, customer information, then that becomes your gold mine for marketing. Because now from there, you can now communicate with them, and it's easier to bring back people that have already been to your restaurant, already enjoyed your restaurant, than getting new people in the door. Now, there is a way of getting new people in the door as well, but there's another system for that as well. Yeah. So it's about, again, understanding the systems behind it that you need to build, and the structure. And of course, I'm not going to go into all the details because there's a lot of things around it, but that's the main thing, right? Relationships, customer database, and then leveraging that data in all different ways that you can. Of course, that's through email. That could be through ads. That could be through SMS. It just depends, again, all your channels, right, that you're going to be using for restaurants. Yeah.
I love that. You also talk about that you need to kind of let the guest in a little bit behind the scenes and kind of show them, hey, this is how much we spend, or how much time we spend on prepping, so people kind of feel like they're part of something. I love the way you look at marketing. So talk to me a little bit. You had that early career lesson. Where did you realize, or when did you realize, that marketing is something where you felt, hey, I can serve the community in a lot greater way?
So it's you're talking about when we did the shift to the agency.
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, listen, at some point, Christian, I mean, I didn't finish the story at the beginning, but for that first restaurant in Miami, turned into a partnership with some great guys, and we opened another restaurant there, and we continue to grow and evolve into a hospitality group, right? And so I step out of operations, and it was 4 of us really running the group there at that time, and I was the head of marketing, right? I just was really good at this stuff, right? And but one thing that we found, that when we were still small, we couldn't hire in-house to do everything, right? Because in digital, even if it's digitally, there's a lot of moving parts to do it great. You need to understand email marketing, you need to understand paid media, you need to understand social, you need to understand content, all these different things. So we leveraged agencies, and listen, there's some great agencies, there's some really bad agencies, but the problem was that most of them, they didn't understand the restaurant business. So first, the learning curve was really, very, very, it just took a lot of time. And then if they didn't understand that, they really couldn't provide value besides some of the technical aspects of it, right? When it comes to running ads and things like that, or just execution. And they didn't understand restaurant platforms. So how they work, how they can interconnect. Now, we've come a long way since back then, because at that time, like nothing, no platforms to talk to each other, and we couldn't integrate a lot of things. Now you can. And the tracking was impossible. Now you can. Now there's different platforms where you can do a lot of different cool things. But anyways, it's not a straight path as e-commerce, but there's a way to do it. But so that's when there was an opportunity there that I saw, that to create an agency and create and listen, agencies have a bad rep, just the name agency, but just creating a company that could serve restaurants in a whole different way. that we really understand your language, because I've been there, right? And my team is trained for that as well. They have also been in the restaurant industry. So we get it, right? And we understand where you're at, your challenges, and we learn how we can help you get to the next stage, right? So what we do is create a structure for you, because that's where it starts with all your, your channels, and build upon that. Yeah. And during the pandemic, like we were just discussing before the show, what happened was it was an idea, right? It was this vision for doing this. And the pandemic just kind of forced me into this business. It's okay. Got out of the restaurant business, built this, and then just started helping restaurants with their marketing, right? And again, it's just a different way of how we do things and how we look at things, right? Because again, it's the direct experience that we have.
I love that, because you talk a lot about that, and you called it evolving beliefs, that your original view on success changed as you started doing marketing. Can you give us some examples on how it changed for you and how it changed within the restaurant industry?
Sure. So, I mean, we're talking about success here when it comes to marketing, right? So, like I was mentioning, Christian, restaurant marketing is it's really a different way of marketing, because it's never a straight path, right? Because unlike other industries where when we're talking about digital advertising, paid media, all these things, there is a pretty straightforward conversion. Meaning, if it's e-commerce, you're going to sell a product, right, and that's it. Or if it's whatever it is. Now, with restaurants, there's a whole process for me to consider if I want to go to your restaurant, and to kind of fall in love with the idea. And I have to tell the story really well. So then I can start thinking about it. And if I see it enough, then I'm going to be attracted to it. I'm going to then look online for reviews. I'm going to ask some friends if they've gone before, and then I'll make a plan to go. Yeah. So in that customer journey, there's different touch points, right? That you get, where you need to be to get, in contact with the customer, in a consideration phase. And so that doesn't mean when you're running, let's say you're running ads or you send email, whatever it is, that person's not going to make a reservation right then and there. Again, they go into consideration. Once you think, okay, I'm going to go, then they might just show up, or they might just go make a reservation through Open Table, or maybe they just, they'll just call, whatever it is. So there's different, avenues of conversion, if you may, of like the person actually visiting your restaurant. So in terms of when we're measuring success, you have to look at the whole picture. Yes. If we're, let's say, pushing a specific campaign for a new restaurant, you might get direct reservations on that campaign through email, through SMS, through paid ads, through organic social, whatever it is. We track all of it.
Yeah.
And you will get, again, people that might just go directly, right? Get a reservation. But then there's another group, again, that, they became aware of your restaurant and they might have visited your restaurant, but you just don't have a way of, hey, this person showed up from this ad or from this post or whatever it is that you did. So again, we have to look at the whole picture. So after you push a specific campaign for a restaurant, then you get to look at your overall sales. You get to say, okay, so what happened? Was there an impact? You know what I mean? And yes, there are tools out there that will help you, track these type of things. But again, you have to look at this whole picture. And also, it's not something that you do in the short run, Christian, because again, you got to do this on a consistent basis on a longer term. Because even if you fill the restaurant, let's say for one event or for your opening or for in a specific Mother's Day, whatever event, that doesn't mean that it's going to continue, right? So that's just an excuse to talk about your restaurant, get your people in there, give them a great experience. Again, get their information so then you can bring them back for the next time. Yeah. So you have to build on the success of the first thing that you do, right? At the opening, okay, you filled it up. Okay, now capture, now remarket, do something new, bring it back again, and you continue on. So it's like it's a little ladder that just moves
Yeah,
forward and
I
forward and
love
forward and
that.
forward.
I love that.
And you have to
I,
look at also at all your revenue centers and see
mhm.
where the opportunities lie, and focus again, and see where where you can grow.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you talk a lot about data driven decision making and I use or leverage data, the way you call it, in making educated decision. So help us understand a little bit. So I'm interested in you as the person because you grew up in the restaurant. You did the restaurant.
Mhm.
When was that pivoting point where you knew that you can serve people with marketing in a whole different way or in a whole different not just
Mhm.
universe, but how can you just blow it away with doing marketing? I'm curious to know, where was that or when was that piece of information for you which where you said,
Sure.
I need to do this?
So it was through frustration, Christian, because we
Mhm.
were, again, we were still small, and we were trying to, I was in charge of marketing, right? So I needed to promote the restaurants. We needed to get people in the restaurants. And when you're scaling and open new locations, that becomes quite a bit of pressure, right? Because now you got to fill not just one place, you got to fill the other places too, sustain it. So by having these experiences with other agencies that didn't know restaurants and weren't really great, it was sheer frustration, because I was like, I can't believe they don't get it, they don't understand. So then I just started like getting into learning all the technical side of everything, and I was like, okay, then I'm just going to learn everything myself, and I'm going to hire people
Mhm.
and teach them. And so that was the point. And also and it was an accumulation of things, Christian, also because when I was firstly, when I first with my first restaurant, I didn't have time to market, and I didn't really know how to leverage digital platforms at that time. I mean, it was a long time ago, it was just starting out, the whole Facebook, Instagram, all those things. But I always thought about, man, it would be great if somebody really knew how to do this, that knew restaurants, that could help me and can just manage this for me. And I don't have to worry about this stuff. I can just focus on operating my restaurant, because that's like the most intense part. Right.
Mhm.
And so I always wished for that. So that's how the idea came, and said, okay, I need to help other restaurant owners, because I know how frustrating it can be. I know how hard it can be trying to do the whole thing, or even for restaurant groups, again, that they're a certain size, that they might have some knowledge of things, but they don't have it down. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
what happens, as you know, sometimes in the industry is like they'll hire from within. Oh, let me get the events manager or somebody, a server, to like do the marketing,
Mhm.
and they're limited in their knowledge, right? Or they hire agencies and they get burnt, because like as we did. So and so that was really the turning point for me, when I said, nah, I got to do this. Get help with the restaurant
I
owners.
I love that, and you break it down and you make it sound so simple. So I
Mhm.
I love the way you look at marketing, because I think your operational background has a huge, not just a huge impact on you, but it has a lot to do of how you market, because you kind of go back, be human centric, and what makes you better, and
Mhm.
it's all about you. So, talk to
Mhm.
our audience a little bit. If somebody says, "Oh, I absolutely love what Sebastian is doing. I love the idea of marketing." What are one, two, or maybe even three tips or tricks they can
Mhm.
implement today or tomorrow to see benefits from it within a short period of time?
For sure. So, first thing I would say, Christian, is like I mentioned before, is focus on growing your customer database,
Hmm.
right? Because that is going to be your biggest marketing tool. And it's going to make it more effective, and it's going to make it cheaper. Okay, so that's
Hmm.
the first thing. Because again, that data, you can leverage it with email, you can leverage it with paid ads, you can leverage it with SMS, right? So collect all that data. If you don't have a system in place for that, do it. Okay,
Hmm.
so that could be through, of course, through your website, through a newsletter. You can have a Wi-Fi thing in your restaurants where people connect to the internet. They can, you gather the data. If you have open table, fantastic. If you're doing private events and you have a software like Triple Seat, or you're just receiving inquiries through your website, make sure you streamline that and just connect it to an email platform. So you're throwing all those contacts in there. If you're using Toast rewards and you're collecting customer
Hmm.
information, you have that data there as well. So there's all these different places where you can pull data from, where you can run contests and get people to participate and
Love
provide
that.
you with their data. So all of these things where you can start growing your customer database, Or you can go the old school way. Listen, give a bunch of little cards to your servers and ask them to give you feedback, like written, and leave you a review. Yes, it's going to be manual, so that's a pain in the ass. I get it, but you're going to get a lot of data. Yeah. So all of these different ways where you can collect it, and again, build those relationships. And then from there, Christian, what you need to do is come up with a plan on how you're going to use it now. So the first thing is build a marketing calendar. So what does that mean? Let's put it very simple. Come up with excuses for people to come visit you again. Okay. So if it's going to be a new menu item, if it's going to be a special menu for Mother's Day, if it's going to be something for, depending on your concept, there's so many things that you can leverage, right? If you're big on beers, then National Beer Day, whatever it is, like there's so many things that you come up with, and you can make them new and innovative. You don't have to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. And then put it on a calendar. Okay. January, we have this. Then February, we have Valentine's. We have this, and that. We have then for March, we have, whatever it is that's going on. Graduation season's coming. So, okay, we can push private events for that. So according to that, then you'll know what the game plan is. Okay. So each month we're going to promote something different. Yeah. Now, how am I going to communicate that? That's where the customer database comes in. Okay. Now, designing a new email, whatever, guys. Now with AI, you can do a lot of great stuff. Use Canva, whatever. You don't have to get fancy, but and if you can't afford it, then yes, hire somebody that's a professional to do this. Yes. So then pull that information in there. Okay, here's your monthly newsletter. This is what's happening. Then you can communicate with them again once the event is approaching. We'll use your channels. You have your social media channels: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok if you're using it. Film yourself saying, "Hey, we have Valentine's Day special coming." Blah 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 blah. Make it real. Make it personal. Tell your story in a genuine way, right? Because that's what really works the best. And then
love that.
And so that is putting it into practice. Now, paid media, that's a little bit more complex. So I wouldn't recommend for you to go do that. Never boosted posts, guys. Christian, there's so many restaurants that, because they see it, and Facebook is smart, and to tell you boost, and to give you that option to do it really quickly, right? And that is a crapshoot. The ads will go everywhere and anywhere, and you won't get in front of the right people. And so just don't do it. To do it properly, hire a professional or get training, on how to do it properly. And of course, I'll send you a link, a whole class we gave in this thing. But if you leverage it properly, you're going to get in front of a lot more people. Yeah. And so that would be simple advice that you can start doing now, and that can benefit your restaurant right now.
I love that. And by the way, to our listeners, there was a few nuggets in there, and I encourage you to go back 3-4 minutes, listen to the last piece again, because you just gave them the blueprint on how to properly market our restaurant, because that's all it is. You don't need to make it fancy, because for us, I always use the example of us. We had, a few different people coming in. We hired an agency, and our stuff was so overproduced that it wasn't us. And I think we kind of lost who we were. So we went back and did it ourselves. And now when I think back, some of the posts which are the best, which I was like, oh, I can't believe you posted that. And that's a post which does really well, because it connects with who you are. The end of the day, and that's what I love about the way you look at marketing and you message out in the marketplace. It's a human industry. It's you want to connect with the human. It has nothing to do with your food, because they can go anywhere. If they connect with you, they will come back. And I absolutely love that about you. And I encourage our listeners to check out Sebastian of what he does. And when you guys see him, I know you do a ton of it up on LinkedIn. Just the way you post, I encourage our listeners, they need to check you out on LinkedIn, because you learn a lot from just following you. So I absolutely find that amazing. And I look at our clock, we coming to the end of our time today, but I want to know 2 other things. So the first thing is, how do you manage your time, and how do you fit in the company? What are you focusing on for the company for the next 6 months? And what are you focusing on you? Because that's also a message you have, that you need to take care of you. So let us look a little bit behind the scenes and behind the curtain of what do you do for you for the next 6 months, and how you position your company for the next 6 months.
No, definitely, Christian. That's the challenge, right? I got a daughter and got a kid on the way, so there's a lot to juggle between family, business, and all this stuff. But So the way I do it is, Christian, it's discipline, right? It's just setting your time blocks, right? Everybody talks time blocks. It's just okay.
Mm.
It's about priorities, because I have a list of things that's endless, but
Yep.
what are the priorities that are going to move the business forward? And like you were just saying, the first thing is also making time for myself a priority, meaning being in the right mental state, right? So mindset is really about mindset quite a bit in business, as you know, in any business.
Yeah.
So I always start with, a workout, and I try to get 3 or 4 workouts a week at least. Time to meditate, pray. In my case, that's my thing,
Mhm.
my beliefs,
Mhm.
and for me, that centers me and just gives me a sense of peace and being able to be here and be able to focus. So then after that, the way I do that is, again, time blocks. Okay, what are the priorities?
Mhm.
Those are the blocks of time that I'm going to separate during the day, right? No, I'm going to focus, turn off all distractions, social media, phone, everything. I don't want to talk to anybody. This is what I'm doing now. And so you focus on that for whatever time, an hour, 2 hour period, then you stop, and then you can open it up to operations, whatever it is that you're doing. If it's restaurants, if you're a restaurateur, lock yourself in the office, tell them nobody to interrupt us, so you can focus on what you're doing, right? Or get out of the restaurant and do it somewhere else, and then come back there when you're ready to do the show, right? And like talk to
Mhm.
everybody and do what you need to do. But it's basically the same principle in any business. So that's what I try to do, Christian. And I'm a morning person, so I try to set the
Yep.
most difficult tasks in the morning for me, so I can focus, and that's where I think. In the afternoon is usually stuff that I can do with my eyes closed. You know what I mean? They
I
come
love
easy
that.
for me.
Love that.
Or if it's going to be just talking to my team, and organizing, and all those things, those are easy. So I do those in the afternoon. So really, that's in a nutshell, Christian, the
I
way that I
I
set
love
things
that.
up.
And I love talking to you because you might make it sound so simple, okay? And it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of discipline, and I absolutely love what you do for the marketplace. I love what Breed Marketing does. I am a big fan of yours, and hopefully our listeners not just walk to your website, run, and hopefully get a
Mhm.
glimpse behind the scenes on what you do and how you look at at the industry at large. So we absolutely love that. So with that, I wanted to see if you're up for playing rapid fire question food service edition.
Sure.
I have the brand new batch of questions here. My team is mean and they
Yeah.
redo these questions all the time. So if you're up for playing, that would be a lot of fun. We do
let's,
5, 6 questions, and it's really
let's do
simple.
it.
You answer yes, no, and why. Good. So
Okay.
up for.
Yep.
Okay. So let's start rapid fire question food service edition. Give me a number between 1 and 25.
25.
25. Okay, Sebastian, are you ready? Should we
Yeah.
start offering breakup meals on the menu designed to make people cry, laugh, or whatever they need at the time? Yes or no, and why?
Depends on the concept, but yes, do it. Do something different.
I like the idea, but I think some things might be better than others. Okay, give me a number between 1 and 25.
7.
7. Oh, would you cook while wearing a pajama just to make food taste better? Yes or no, and why?
I do it for my family every Sunday, Christian, so I'm going to have to say yes.
Make two of us. Make two of us. Okay, give me a number between 1 and 25.
3.
3. Is it okay to serve a cocktail in a cereal bowl just to mess with your customers? Yes or no, and why?
No, bad experience. I don't want to come back.
I mean, by the way, this is the first time I read this because no, I'm not sure. It's not really where we want to go. Okay, give me a number
Yeah.
between 1 and 25.
12.
12. Have you ever accidentally started a small fire in the kitchen? Even if you're not a real chef, yes or no, and why?
No, I didn't, but my chef did.
Happens to all of us. I think if you haven't started a fire, you're lying. Okay, give me a number between 1 and 25.
21.
Ooh, 21 is an oldie but goodie. Pineapple
Mm.
on the pizza. Yes or no, and why?
I'm gonna have to say yes because my daughter loves it.
That
That's
whole
it. That's
movement
why.
of getting the pineapple off the pizza. Yeah. Okay. Listen, Wolfgang Puck made $300 million with that. Okay.
There you
Last
go.
question. Give me a number between 1 and 25.
10.
10. Should all foods be served with a surprised ingredient just to have fun? Yes or no, and why?
No. It would be a bad idea if you don't know if the surprise ingredient doesn't work with your meal.
I'm with you because some stuff could be fun and some stuff. Oh, I
Yeah.
can't believe you just did that. But
Yeah,
I
it could be
really want to
terrible.
say
Bad
thanks for
review, won't come back.
thanks for
Thank you,
coming and
Christian.
playing a rapid fire question, food service edition.
Appreciate it.
So, Sebastian, I absolutely love this conversation. You need to promise us to come back for a 2.0 because I honestly feel in our industry, there's so many people that are looking at marketing like the grand thing. They following some grand person. They feel their marketing needs to be just like that. And what I love the way you teach it is marketing needs to be an extension of who you are. And when people walk in, I'm a big believer in that. You know, the food needs to be the confirmation of what they see about you in social media. So I absolutely love that. So, but before we get going, just tell our audience how can they learn more about you, how can they follow you, and tell us a little bit about where they can go.
Sure. So, I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn, Sebastian Stahl, Stahl. That's how you spell the name. And you can find us at breathmarketing.com, BREADTH, marketing.com. And that's our website.
Awesome. We appreciate it. And then also for our listeners, we will have show notes in it and a few things which I thought was really great talking about you. Some stuff which I feel you guys can use today to have a better outcome tomorrow. But for me, I absolutely love having you here. Thanks for spending 45 minutes with us. I really appreciate the gift of your time. This was amazing. You need to promise us to come back for a 2.0.
Will do.
Awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. And to our listener, until next time, remember to disrupt your kitchen, fire up your career, stay hungry for change. I'm Christian, the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur host. I'm signing off. I'm here with Sebastian, and we are out of here. So be the change, be the challenge, and be the chef who sets the world on fire. With that, I really appreciate this, Sebastian. Really, really good stuff. You got to promise us to come back. And to our listeners, go out there and stay disruptive, everybody. I'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
See you, Christian. Thank you.